What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The David Lopez Show, presented by Passion Park ENT. You know what it is. It is wonderful to be back. Took a whole week off pretty much, so I apologize if anybody was waiting for another episode. Actually, I know that when I recorded last week's episode, which was just the picks, it was pretty much just an NFL episode, I said that I was going to have an NBA episode to follow up, as I was supposed to have a Zoom with KT, and that was supposed to happen last Friday night. But as life goes and things happen, we had to reschedule. I'll just tell you, it was just a decision on my part because sometimes you gotta make a executive decision that requires prioritizing the people in your life like your wife. So it was a decision. Basically happened a Friday night dinner choice after a long week of work. I thought that was more important than recording this NBA episode. Not that this wasn't important, but like I said, you want to have a peaceful life at home too. So we rescheduled last week. But that being said, me and KT are hopping on a Zoom tonight. So that'll be tomorrow's episode. That will be talking a bunch of NBA stuff. Obviously, I want to talk with him as he's a Lakers fan. So I want to talk a little bit, just wrap up the season because we never really did that. But a lot of thoughts going forward on next season. Obviously, we don't even know what's going to happen with that. And then on the Bulls, the draft's coming up. So there's a lot of things. So stay tuned for that. If you're looking to just hear some NBA stuff, you don't really care about the NFL, then you might want to wait till tomorrow's episode because today's going to be primarily NFL and just me, bullshitting a little bit like I always do. But I just wanted to keep that up top just so you guys know that is coming. And I feel somewhat bad for not having that happen last week as I had scheduled. But like I said, things happen. You got to adjust. You got to be flexible. And I appreciate you guys all staying with the program. You know what it is. And with that being said, before I get into the bulk of this episode, which is really just my picks and my bets and some of my heartbreaking wins and losses from this past weekend. I don't know why I said wins and losses. There were literally no wins. But as always, if you want to keep up with my music, I haven't really released a new song since July. But as I've said, pretty much every episode for the past couple, I don't know how long, I got a lot of music coming. I got a game plan for how 2021 is going to go, and that's going to include the most music that I've ever dropped in my entire life, and consistently. And in my opinion, the best music I've ever dropped in my entire life. I'm making the best beats myself that I've ever done, and I think that is really, and I'm finding my voice a little bit better too. I think just the ability for me to be able to produce a little bit more on my own end and produce confidently for myself is kind of becoming a game changer for me, in my opinion. Because I like working with producers and I like working with other beat makers, even if you want to just say that. But just the ability to in-house it is really opening me up, I think, to a whole new, world of music and a whole new level for myself personally. I always really idolize, like, J. Cole is one of my favorite rappers. I've always said that. And he's somebody who produces a lot for himself. And Russ too, I mentioned him before. Even Kid Cudi, who doesn't produce for himself, but he has a lot of them. He does produce for himself a little bit, but like those early days he didn't. But like Day and Night, for instance, I'm going on a tangent here before we even get into the show, but whatever. Day and Night, for instance, was like, Kid Cudi's breakout single, which was such a fucking awesome song. I used to remember listening to that at house parties when I was younger. I love that song. I heard the story about him making that song was that he was like working a factory overnight job or something, and he came up with a melody in his head like day and night, whatever. And then he with that melody then told Plain Pat how he wanted that beat made, and so they worked with it. So they kind of produced that together. So long story short, it just gives you more freedom to explore the melodies that you make up in your head and stuff like that. So I'm really having a great time making music, spending a lot of time in my studio right here, like all the fucking time in here. So I'm enjoying myself and I'm really loving that, and I can't wait to share some of that with you guys. So go to thedavidlopez.com to hear everything else I've done so far, and stay on that page because, like I said, there will be a lot of new content coming. And then on the more, Passion Park Entertainment, my production company, on that side, if you go to passionparkent.com, you can keep up with all of our projects. You hit that projects tab right at the top of that website. There's going to be a drop-down menu that has all of our shows, like everything we've ever done. We've done short films. I've done web series. We did a sketch show, all of my music videos. The current show that we do weekly, which is called Live from the Home Stew, which is just me doing a weekly performance of one song. That's going to be continued every single week for a long time. I mean, I don't know the next time I'm going to be able to do a regular concert. But even if I do a regular concert, I like the ability to perform from in my house and just share that. So I'm going to keep that going. And just like I said, keep going on the projects tab. And I'm going to have a big announcement soon. I say big announcement, but it is a big announcement for our company. Pretty soon here on a new show edition, actually 2 new show editions, but one particularly that I think is going to come sooner than the other, that I'm really excited about. It will be another kind of podcast, kind of something else, but I think it's a good idea, and I think it'll allow me to connect with some other people. So I'm excited for that. I don't want to give away too much on that, but like I said, stay tuned for another addition to the Passion Park Entertainment Network, if you wanna call it that, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't know. But I'm having a really good time creating, and I'm excited to move forward. And I just want to say that, as I always say, there's no slowing down here. I'll be continuing to put out a lot of content going forward. So let's get into the show and talk about some sports.
David Lopez is the name. It's my show. Welcome to it.
Part of the addition to the network that I was talking about when I'm trying to create a new show is that, I do realize that this show has pretty predominantly become me talking about sports. And I mean, shit, that's what I love. It's called the David Lopez Show. It should be whatever the hell I want to talk about. It's my show. But so, yeah, it's predominantly become me talking about sports. And whereas in the beginning, it was a lot of just interviews with artists and stuff like that. And I still want to incorporate some of those. But the new show that I'm kind of working on, I think will give me another, it will kind of, at least for people who are looking for more so, this will be where you can hear some more of the bullshit sports stuff. And then this other thing that I'm working on, I think will be a little more art focused, a little more music focused. So you can really get some of the breakdowns. I can nerd out a little bit more on whatever, whether it be lyrics or songs or beat making or whatever it may be. I can nerd out a little bit more on that outlet. So that's going to be my idea there. But this show is my baby. This has been around for 2-3 years. It's evolved a lot in a lot of ways, and I'm going to keep evolving every single week, frankly, because I just want to talk about what I want to talk about, and hopefully you guys get something from it. This NFL show today is a little heartbreaking for me because, I always get into my bets at the end of the episode. I was close this week, man. We were close this week to really making some David Lopez show history. We almost did the I want to call it a trifecta, but it's only a double. We almost did the repeat, the back-to-back championship. We almost dominated this weekend. We really almost did with my picks. But we fell short, and that hurt. You'll hear about that coming up in the bets at the end specifically. But before I get into my picks, the Bears squeaked out a victory, as I have predicted. I think the Bears are 5-1, and I think I'm 5-1 on my picks with the Bears because I just pick with them every single time, or I have picked with them every single time. But they narrowly pulled this one out, and the reason I say that is because Matt Nagy almost did it again. It's hard as a Chicago fan base. If you listen to Chicago sports radio this entire week, as I did, you would probably not be sure. If you didn't know up top, you might not be sure that we're 5-1 because there's been a lot of complaining about the play calling, about the clock management specifically. What the fuck is going on? I mean, we're up by a touchdown with a couple minutes left, and we refuse to run the ball. We're passing. It's just, I don't know. I'm happy with the Nick Foles decision. I think he looks like a professional quarterback. I just think he looks composed. Chicago fans are going crazy over his press conference that he had after the game because he just sounded like a real leader. He sounded like he's like, look, we're happy we won ugly, but we're in the locker room all trying to get better. And that's what a quarterback's supposed to say. I mean, I'm a fan of Nick Foles, so I'm definitely not trying to hate on him. But, we're just so shocked to see a professional quarterback here in Chicago that we're, like mind blown when he says some things that, a leader is supposed to say. Kind of like how nice it'll feel when you have the leader of our country saying the things that, talking professionally like they should be. I think that'll be a nice switch up for us when that happens here, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But I mean, you need the right message coming from your leader. And right now in the Bears organization, it is coming from Nick Foles, and I think it's the right way. And that's not to bash Mitch. Mitch was young. He clearly wasn't as good. He doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have the playoff pedigree. that Nick Foles has. Winning a Super Bowl gives you a lot of leeway and trust in the locker room, I would say. So I think he has that. I think this week, the Bears play on Monday night. If they get a victory, then we're really going to start to get some serious national attention. Because right now, the honest truth is, yeah, we're 5-1, and some of the national media coverage is talking about us a little bit. But, like, put it this way. The Bears aren't a topic on First Take or Around the Horn or you know, like, it's just not. Maybe PTI because Wilbon's on there. But they're not a topic on there right now because people think they're a fluke at 5-1. And I understand it. They don't look great. But, like, this happens. You're not great, and then you end up winning 10 or 11 games, and then you squeak into the playoffs and you lose or whatever it may be, but you win games. The year 2 years ago in 2018, and this is actually I heard a comparison on the radio, and I thought this was interesting. 2018, the Bears are a beneficiary of being bad the year before, and what I mean by that is they have a pretty smooth sailing schedule. They didn't have the toughest strength of schedule. I mean, it's just how the NFL works. You're bad the year before. You get a decent, easy schedule the next year, and then you're good, and then you get a hard schedule the following year. This is why the NFL always has teams that go last to first. They're more than any other league. I mean, I don't know this stat off the top of my head, but I would have to imagine more than any other league, teams go last to first in the NFL the most. The reason is strength of schedule. I truly think that is because that doesn't happen in other sports. The NBA, no matter what, you're going to play your division opponents, a couple of times. You're going to play the other conference a couple of times. They have it set out. You're going to play the same. You're going to play the same strength of schedule. I guess divisionally it changes a little bit because you play a couple more teams, a couple more games against a team in your division. It's still pretty similar. Okay, MLB the same. You do have the interleague games here, but nothing is as definitive as the NFL. And so 2018, the Bears are a beneficiary of having an easier schedule. They catch a couple breaks. They have 36 turnovers from their defense. So Mitch is driving with a short field for the majority of the time. So he had a good season. He had good numbers. He had a good passer rating. It was a QB rating, should I say. So that was a anomaly kind of. The following year, they play a tough strength of schedule. They fall to 8-8. A little more reasonable, a little more probably where they were with Trubisky as your starting quarterback. That's probably where you're at. Now we're the beneficiary of having an 8-8 strength of schedule. And I think we can go 10-6, 11-5. Does that mean that we're a Super Bowl contender? Right now, it's really hard to say. Because, like, what do you rather have? Your defense that's looking good right now and your offense that's really looking shitty, but hopefully by December they start to play well and your defense is still good? Or do you rather have a defense that is struggling and an offense that looks on point and hoping that the defense catches up? I kind of think you want the what the Bears have, which is have your defense in place because that's locked down. Offense has that type of look, they need to catch a rhythm, but also sometimes they can just catch fire. And Nick Foles we've seen him catch fire. I mean, that playoff run when the Eagles win it all, he catches fire. This is what happens. So I think the Bears are not in a terrible position. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but what I'm saying is rather than listen to all of the negative rather than listen to all the negative, I can't. This is all right. Well, hopefully that didn't mess up the whole episode. Sorry, Mom, just declined your call. Seems to always happen, but yeah. So I don't know where was I think that the Bears can finish 10-6, 11-5. That's very possible. I mean 5-1. It's gonna be hard. Honestly, it's gonna be hard for the Bears not to make the playoffs. There's an extra playoff team for the AFC and NFC this year. 8-8 might get in. 9-7, I think, does get in. 8-8 might, which just means, I mean, let's just put it this way: are the Bears gonna go 3-7 the rest of the way? Unfortunately, I do think that's possible. I mean, look, they won 3 games this year that were a play away from them losing. So it is possible that they go 3-7 the rest of the way. I would venture towards 4-6 if I had to really make this best. Look, I'd have to look at the schedule and break down the games, but I think that the Bears, if I'm just gonna make my prediction, they're gonna end up 10-6. God fucking. If I had to make a guess, they're gonna go 10-6, which means that they have to go 5-5 the rest of the way. Can they do that? I think that you got a couple games against the Lions, a couple games against the Vikings, only one more game against the Lions, couple games against the Packers. Yeah, going with 10-6. All right. Without further ado, I don't know. I might have to do some editing here, or maybe I'll just leave it in. You can just hear me getting frustrated when my mom calls me back to back in the morning. Anyways, I did okay for week 6 picks. We lost by 1. Essentially, long story short, the the Dallas Cowboys, who I would never bet on. But last week, for some reason, if we go back and watch the highlights, I make my Monday night pick, and I go, you know what? Andy Dalton's going to come through. Cowboys are going to win. Woo, 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 all that. If the Cowboys would have won, we would have won. That's it. We would have won. We finished second place this week. It would have been a back-to-back victory. Fuck the Cowboys. God damn it. Week 7 picks. Let's go. All right. Here we go. We are back for week 7 picks. As I just mentioned before I sent over here, the heartbreaking defeat we had last week based on the absolute demolition of the Cowboys by the Arizona Cardinals. There was a couple victory or tight games that really fucked me. But long story short, we ended up getting 9 right last week. 10 would have won. 10 was the winner for my league. And it was me and my friend who were tied at 9 going into the Monday Night Football game. And he had the Cardinals and I had the Cowboys. So it was a straight up, I just needed the Cowboys to cover the 2.5. And they lost by 489. So that wasn't even a close defeat. So I guess actually in all honesty, them getting their ass whipped, I never thought there really was a chance after that game started. I'm like, oh my God, Andy Dalton is terrible. The Cardinals look like they need this. I just feel like I made a bad pick. I picked against the Cardinals. I picked the Cowboys with their backup. You're reminded why Andy Dalton is Andy Dalton. And I'm just like, fuck. So we would have won. We would have won. It would have been 2 weeks in a row. And I think last week's podcast, I said we're going to win both. We're going to win the Pigskin Pick'em and the 5-team parlay of the week. And man, will I tell you, both those things happened. And really, I had a 5-team parlay that the Eagles score at the end of the game, because on this the odds here were Eagles 7.5. Eagles were down 14. They fucking score a touchdown, so they're down 9, and then they score again. It's to make it a 2-point game. So that one was a game that we got wrong on here. And then also the Titans game, Titans-Texans, that was a 3.5 spread. I had the Texans. Titans score a touchdown with at the fucking buzzer, basically, of regulation. They go to overtime and win by a touchdown rather than a field goal. If they would have just won by a field goal in overtime, we would have still covered. And I still don't think we would have won. We would have had to get 2 more right. But long story short, it was a bad beats type week. Really, every other parlay bet I did a couple other solo bets. I did some baseball bets just to fuck around. I didn't get anything right this week. I'll get more into that when we get to the bets. But let's get into these games. We're starting tonight with a just absolutely shit-tastic game from the NFC East. The NFC East is just the worst. They have every team has 1 win except the most they have is 1 win. Nobody has 2 wins in that. Oh, the Cowboys do. I'm sorry. The Cowboys are 2-4, right? Yeah, Cowboys are 2-4. So they're the only team with 2 wins, but every team in that division is under 500. Just disgusting. Giants, Eagles in Philly. Eagles favored by 3.5. The Eagles got to win a game here, right? They're gonna win eventually, right? They're 1-4-1. I think the Eagles are gonna win that division. I mean, I can't pick the Giants, definitely not. Can't pick Washington. So it's the Cowboys or the Eagles, as it always seems to be, who's the better bad team. And the Cowboys without Dak, I don't know. What I saw from Andy Dalton makes me tough. So I think the Eagles are going to end up winning that division. And with that being said, if they're going to end up winning that division, they got to win games like this. And they got to win, hopefully, by a touchdown here. So Eagles tonight. All right, Lions-Falcons. This is a noon start for Sunday. We got Falcons favored here. That's kind of an interesting pick because the Falcons obviously start off 0-5, fire Dan Quinn. And then they get the victory. The coach fire tactic seems to always work. The team wins. If you fire your coach, you're going to win the next week. So that's interesting that they're favoring Atlanta, honestly, because early on in the season, people thought Detroit was good. We're good. Like they were like, some people predicted Detroit to win the NFC North. So they gotta either, Atlanta, but I don't like it. I'm going Detroit because I think even if Atlanta can win a close game, Close game would make field goal. I'm going Detroit. I think Detroit's going to win that game. I don't want to cheer for Detroit, but I'm going with them. Atlanta will come back to who they've been. All right, Buffalo versus New York. Buffalo lost to the Chiefs last week, and they lost the week before. And I don't see them losing 2 weeks in a row or 3 weeks in a row. The Jets are so goddamn bad. So no doubt in my mind the Bills are winning. Jets are getting 12.5 though. So are the Bills winning by 13? You know what's amazing about the Jets? Not only they're terrible, they're terrible. Adam Gase looks like the worst coach in the NFL. Maybe history. Actually, I doubt that. Mark Trestman. But 12.5 is a big number. Here's the thing, though. The Jets, not only are they 0-6, this is what I was about to say. They're 0-6 against the spread. So that means that Vegas is adjusting to how bad they are, and they are still worse than Vegas' adjustment. Vegas cannot figure out the Jets. It's amazing. And I think, I don't know. I wonder what the most a team has started the season off against the spread. 0-6 is pretty high. 12.5 for a Bills team that, isn't like the Kansas City Chiefs are not Pat Mahomes scoring 50. But that being said, I'm going with the Bills to win this game by 2 touchdowns. The Jets are that bad. They're going to cover. And I just cannot be the one who picks the Jets in any bet. Can't do it. Browns-Bengals. All Ohio matchup. Cleveland looked like shit against Pittsburgh last week. Baker Mayfield got benched. The Steelers look like they must be one of the best teams in the league, and they actually have a primetime matchup this week that we'll get to. But so Cleveland's got to win this game by 4. Joe Burrow, can he keep them in the game against Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, and Jarvis Landry? I almost called him Larvis Jandry. And Jarvis Landry. Can Joe Burrow keep them close enough? No. I don't think he can. I think Browns win this game by a touchdown. They go to 5-2. I mean, a touchdown is still pretty close for Joe Burrow. Maybe he has a chance at the end of the game to come down and drive and tie it, but they don't get it. That's my prediction right here. They're going to lose this game by 7. They're going to have a chance at the end. Browns are going to make a defensive stop. All right. Another NFC East matchup. I wish we could just remove the NFC East. Cowboys versus Washington. Kyle Allen is the Washington starter. Alex Smith's their backup. So let's not get to that so we don't have to worry about seeing him get hurt again, because that's frightening when you see him out there. I mean, although it's great for him, it's a great story, but just crazy. All right, Dallas got to win this game by 4. My heart doesn't want to pick the Dallas. Doesn't want to bet on Dallas because of what they did to me last week, you sons of bitches. Washington narrowly beat the Giants last week in a really close game. You know what though? I'm going with Washington. Maybe the Cowboys win this game by a field goal, which I could really see happening. Fuck the Cowboys. You guys lost me $150 last week. Going with Washington. Packers-Texans. Packers got absolutely demolished by the Buccaneers last week, which was thrilling as a Bears fan to see. And I did pick that. I picked the Buccaneers. I didn't pick them to whoop their ass, but I just thought that they would cover and win. Because that was basically a you pick them. I think the spread was 1.5 last week. So it was basically a pick them, and I picked the Bucs, and I was happy about that. All right, now we're going into Houston. Packers are favored here by 3.5. They got to win this game by 4. Houston should have won last week against Tennessee. Deshaun Watson had his first good game of the year pretty much, and they still blow it at the end. That being said, I am picking the Texans in this game. 3.5 is a good number because that gives me that half point from 2, or that 1 point from 2.5 to 3.5. I think is a big deal because the field goal victories, happen a lot. So that's a big deal. So that half point right there, give me 3.5 for the Texans. I'm gonna take the Texans on that. Plus, it would be phenomenal as a Bears fan if the Packers could lose the second one. That would be really, really nice. All right, Panthers Saints. This is another good matchup. There's some pretty good matchups this weekend. Bears took care of the Panthers last weekend. The Panthers have a pretty good offense with Teddy Bridgewater. Christian McCaffrey's hurt, so that sucks. But the Bears' defense made them look not very good last week. So I think that a lot of credit goes to the Bears D on that because the Panthers can score. Teddy Bridgewater is pretty good. Saints don't look great. They're 3-2. It's a big divisional matchup. But the 7.5, they got to win this game by 8 against Carolina. I don't like that. I don't like it. Carolina it is for me. Going Carolina on that pick. All right, now this is probably actually – I don't know. This is one of the games of the week, that's for sure. But it's a noon start, so it's not like the prime time, like the 3:25 matchup. But Steelers Titans, both teams 5-0. So one of these teams is going to be 6-0. I think that's interesting. That means no matter what, we're going to have a team start 6-0 this season, and that's I don't know. That doesn't happen every year, I don't think, but I feel like the Patriots did that like 5 times in the maybe even more in the Tom Brady run where they started like 6-0, 7-0. Pittsburgh's favorite is bad. This is interesting because they're in Tennessee, so usually the home team gets 3. But Pittsburgh's favorite here by 2.5. So I think Vegas is saying Pittsburgh is better. If this game's in Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh is favored here by 4.5, I'd say, or maybe 5. I'm going with Pittsburgh. Man, I don't know. I'm actually having a kind of tough time with this because Tennessee looks way better than I just didn't. I knew that they would be good at coming off that AFC Championship season. Tannehill feels like he now is a accomplished quarterback. He's made a playoff run. Derrick Henry looks like the best running back in the league by far. He is dominant. So I think Tennessee's really good, and it's hard to pick against them. Bears have to play them actually coming up here. But Pittsburgh, Ben Roethlisberger, this is going to be a close game. That 2.5 points is nice enough for me to think Pittsburgh can do that. I'm going with Pittsburgh, but let this be known to my fans here on the show. This is a really nail biter for me. I'm close to picking Tennessee, but so if we lose by 1 this week and it's that game, whatever. I don't know what does that mean? If we, what's the circumstance? All right. Seahawks, Cardinals. This is another great game. I tell you, Seattle's got to win by 4 here. Arizona's getting 3.5. Arizona looked good last week. They needed to get that W. I think there was kind of a statement win against Dallas. They're like, look, you guys with your backup quarterback are not on the same level as us. So I thought they looked really good. But that being said, Cardinals are 4-2. Kyler Murray is still really young. I think he's going to be very up and down. And so I don't think he's going to perform as well as he did last week. Seattle's going to show up, and they're going to win, and they're going to go to 6-0. We're going to have 2 6-0 teams. They're going to win by a touchdown, should I say. All right, Chiefs, Broncos. Chiefs got to win this game by 9. Broncos looked good. They beat the Patriots last week. I don't think they scored a touchdown. I think they had 6 field goals, but it was 18-12, so a pretty gross game. But they shut the Patriots down. That being said, if you don't score a touchdown and if you can't score a touchdown or at least 3 of them, you're not coming close to the Chiefs. So I got the Chiefs winning this game by 14. Niners, Patriots. Patriots are favored. Okay. Patriots are favored here by 2.5. They looked bad last week. Cam didn't look good. It was his first game back, though, after the COVID thing. I think that's something to be noted. I mean, we don't know the effects of that, especially because not only are you off for a week, but you don't even practice, none of that. So I think he was rusty. That was a rough showing for them. The Niners, 3-3, Super Bowl hangover, but Jimmy G played last week and played all right. Patriots. Going with the Patriots, guys. Going with the Patriots. I think Bill Belichick ain't trying to lose to Jimmy Garoppolo. It ain't happening. All right. Patriots. And he doesn't like losing 2 in a row anyway. So they're going to go back to 500. I got that. Jags, Chargers. Why is this the 325 game? I guess the Chargers, it's in LA, but I mean, whatever. How many 3 o'clock games do we have this week? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Last week there was only 2, I think. So at least we got 4 3 o'clock games this week. That's nice. Jags, Chargers. Chargers got to win this game by 9. Jags are getting 8.5. Don't love that. Like watching Justin Herbert play. Both teams have 1 win, 1-5 versus 1-4. Going with the Jags to keep this one relatively close. Yeah, I don't think the Chargers are good. Their defense is good, but they're 1-4. I mean, the 1-4 is not too indicative of who exactly they are. They've lost a lot of close games. But there you go, though. They lost a lot of close games. Maybe they'll win a close game, and the Jags will keep this within 9. So I'm going with that, within 8.5, should I say. Another good game. This is the Sunday night game. Buccaneers, Raiders. I like these matchups this week. We should have some entertaining football. Buccaneers, Raiders. Buccaneers favored by 2.5. Got to win this game by 3. They dominated the Packers last week. I think the Raiders are a pretty good team this year. This is going to be actually tough. I'm tempted to pick the Raiders. They're in Las Vegas. I'm tempted to pick the Raiders here. Man. Oh, guys. I mean, the Bears took down the Buccaneers, which was nice. All right, guys. In 3, 2, one, I will be picking the Raiders. I don't even trust that pick. Tampa Bay has got to win by at least 3. I'm picking the Raiders to keep. I'm picking the Raiders. Whatever. I went with it as my gut. I'm going with it. Raiders is my pick that week. Whatever. Let's Tommy throw a pick 6, Tommy, and then that'll be. He didn't throw a pick 6 against the Packers, and he is kind of on a streak of throwing those. So maybe maybe we'll get one of those this week. All right, and finally, you know what it is. My Bears, baby. The Bears. Or should I say the 5-1 Chicago Bears. The first place in the NFC North Chicago Bears. And this line has changed. Early in the week, I think the Rams were getting 2.5 or 3. Now they're getting 5.5. Look, you could have given the Rams 1 point. I'm taking the Bears. You're giving the Rams 5.5. I got the Bears winning this game by 488 points. That's a lie. This is the Monday night game, so there's a tiebreaker. So I have to actually pick the score, but I do have the Bears winning this game. I think the Bears are going to win this game, go to 6-1, stay at first place in the NFC North. I predicted the Packers would lose. That'll give us a nice little cushion in the NFC North. Woo! Getting excited here. This is what happens to us Chicago Bears fans when we do well here. Anyways, past couple of years, Bears have played the Rams in prime time, and the games have been pretty ugly here. But that's with Mitch behind center. I'm going with Nick Foles to have a decent showing here. The offense is everybody's paying attention to the Bears' offense, at least in Chicago. They want them to show up. We know the defense usually shows up. We need our offense to show up. That being said, I think they might. I'm going 27-17 Bears. That's it. 27-17. Lock it in, baby. Lock it in. Submit it. All right. Now I got to go through some of these picks. I got to get on my sports book, and I got to decide what 5-team parlay I'm going to go with this week. So stay tuned for my gambling. Let's go. All right. We are back from the Week 7 picks, and you know what? We're going to win. That's right. The confidence level is high. Not really. It's just I'm trying to be optimistic. We're going to win, all right? This is going to be the week we win, and it's going to be like what I said last week. We win the picks, the Pick'em League, and we're going to get our 5-team parlay of the week this week. That's what's going to happen, all right? We're going to get it. So I mentioned before, last weekend was pretty heartbreaking. Not heartbreaking. I mean, I was somewhat confident, but long story short, I made 2 5-team parlays of the week. I made the one on here, which we did not get. I think we got 3 out of 5. Problem was the Eagles. I think I already mentioned this. They came back. They had this is why I don't like doing the big covers, like when it's like a 12.5 or a 9.5, because they were down 14. They're going to ask for the whole game. And then at the end, they make a little run and cut it to like 2. And then we don't get that one. So that game is ruined. And that was in the noon slot. So when that one, and I had that, I'm such an idiot. I had that in both of my 5-team parlays. But then I also had the Sunday night game, which was the the Niners. Who did the Niners play? I can't remember, but I had the other team on the money line, so I lost that one. So I think we got 3 out of 5. But in the 1 5-team parlay I had all 5 noon games, and 3 of the 5 had already hit. And the 2 that I needed, long story short, everything was hitting. And I was like, wow, I was like 2 minutes away from making, $250 or whatever it was. So it was the Titans game, and then the Titans-Texans, and then the Eagles-Ravens. Those 2 games, in the last 2 minutes, the covers were switched, or the team, whatever. The side that won switched, and that really hurt my money. So I was very close, like 2 minutes away from getting that 5-team parlay of the week. So that hurt, but that's how gambling goes. That's how sports gambling goes. And like I already mentioned, we were 1 game away from hitting the other one. So I could have won a fair amount of money this weekend if everything would have went the right way. But it didn't, and that happens. But now I got this week's parlay of the week, all right? Like I said, we got to hit at least one this season for you guys. I need you guys to be able to at least look at this and say, oh, he tried to make us some money. He made us some money. I mean, I did that. Last week we won in the picks league for the whole week, so I feel good about that. But now we got to get this 5-team parlay of the week. Before I say what the parlay is, I do want to say that I also made for tonight's terrible Giants-Eagles game, I did make a 8-way parlay just on stats, just like crazy odds. It's like a plus, what are my odds at? I don't know. I mean, basically turned $5 into $680. Maybe I'll make another one. Maybe I'll do 2 of these. But On my sports book, you can do that, and it's kind of nice because they're the crazy ones. But it's also like I didn't make any crazy predictions. I'm just going to read these off for you guys on this particular parlay for tonight's game. Daniel Jones going to have 20 completions. Carson Wentz will have over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Evan Ingram will have 5 or more receptions. Devontae Freeman will have 64 or more rushing yards. Devontae Freeman will have 65 or more rushing yards. Boston Scott of the Eagles will have 52.5 rushing yards. Evan Ingram will have over 38.5 receiving yards. Golden Tate will have over 37.5 receiving yards. Boston Scott will have 2.5 receptions. Deshaun Jackson will have 3 receptions. So I mean, look, that's not an easy one to get, but nothing on there to me is super crazy. And if all of those hit, you turn $5 into $680, then I'll be mad at myself for not betting $20. But all right, let's get to it. This is the 5-team parlay of the week that we are going to hopefully collectively hit. And once again, these odds on my sports book are different than the ESPN Pigskin Pick'em odds that I do when I just did. They're clearly different. I mean, it's like some of them by a full point, some of them by half point, some of them by a couple. It's weird. Anyways, my first one, I got Lions versus Falcons. I'm going with the Lions +1. Panthers versus Saints. I got Panthers +9. As I said, I think the Panthers are going to keep that within striking distance. Seahawks Cardinals. I got the Seahawks -3. So I need the Seahawks to come through in that division matchup right there. Niners Patriots. This one's a little tougher because I think the Niners, could pull this off. But I got the Patriots. I'm going Patriots -2. And then finally, Steelers Titans. That is, I went Steelers money line on that because actually the interesting thing was on my sportsbook it was +1 for Steelers rather than in the ESPN league. I think it was like +2 for the Titans, so I'm confused. But it was +1 for the Steelers, but then the money line had better odds for the Steelers, so I just went straight up money line on the Steelers. So yeah, money line Steelers. All of those games. So there's 2 of the games are 3 o'clock games, and then 3 of them are noon games. So I might be really tuned into those 3 o'clock games trying to make some money here. But once again, one more time. All right, Lions +1, Panthers +9, Seahawks -3, Patriots -2, Steelers money line. That's the 5-team parlay of the week. Let's hit this shit, baby. Just as another note, betting-wise, I haven't really talked about the World Series at all. Obviously, Tampa Bay versus Dodgers. I made 2 World Series bets. In game 1, I made like a stupid Rays are going to score first, and then they didn't. But it was like $5, so nothing big. But I did make because my friend who is a baseball, I'd say expert. I mean, he watches baseball all the time. He loves baseball, right? He tweeted out Rays in 5. And then I tweeted my response, which was +1,200. Because as soon as he said Rays in 5, I looked, and they were +1,200. So I just put $5 on them for Rays in 5. So that's my one World Series bet is Rays in 5. I don't even know if I believe it. They're tied 1-1 now. So they got to win. They got to win out, obviously. But whatever. There's pretty good odds there. Could make $60 on that. So that's my one baseball bet that I'll say. But anyways, that's the show. You know what it is. Thank you guys for tuning in, as always, to another episode. I will be back actually tomorrow with a NBA show. So once again, fingers crossed that we're gonna make some money this week. You know, these NFL shows I look forward to all week because I like making these bets. I like being engaged all weekend watching the football games. Don't let it run my life. Don't let the sports gambling run my life. And if you are thinking you might have an issue, go check that out. But this isn't what that's for. This is just for fun and trying to get into this world and see how we can make a little money. You know what I mean? But thank you for always tuning in. We will be back tomorrow with another episode. I'll be back next week with a bunch of new content. Go to thedavidlopez.com or go to www.passionparkent.com to keep up with everything. I'm just grateful to have this show, to have this platform, to be able to share my thoughts, and to just have you all as listeners. So one love and enjoy your weekends.